Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. Okay, so I hope we are discussing about websites. Yes, so about websites and servers, how to configure servers and how to design servers. About design. Yes, so and yesterday you saw different ways how you can configure a server and inside a LAN. So when it comes to out of LAN, it is going to be something like this where out of LAN. Yeah. Out of LAN means you have to configure a server. You have to get a server. For that, first you need domain names. You have to purchase domain names. And from where you will purchase these domain names? GoDaddy. You can go for GoDaddy, buildwith.com. You have different sites. So those are called paid hostings. Paid hostings wherein you have to pay money and you'll have to get that. Now, we also have free hostings. Free hosting sites where free hosting, yes, you can get domain names, but you won't get customized domain names like this. Yesterday, Saumita showed you like if in case if you need to purchase a domain name called Saumita.com. If you have to purchase a domain name called Saumita.com, then you'll have to go to GoDaddy, pay the amount, and then buy it. But in free hostings, you will get a domain name, you'll get a URL, but it won't be customized as per your needs. That is why it is free hosting. So what different sites do we have? We have sites like, you have a site called 000 Web Host. 000 Web Host is a website which you can use for hosting free domains. You can also use GitHub. GitHub is one common platform where you can create domain names. So let us first look into GitHub. So all you have to do is this. First, create an account in GitHub. Once if you have created an account, so this is github.com. So now what we are going to do is, this is my GitHub's landing page. And initially what you have to do is, you're going to create a login page. You're going to create a login page, a simple login page like this. A login page like this with username, password field, and login field. Now the flow of today's module is going to be like this. The module of today, what we are going to see is, yes, when it comes to designing, you have different modules which you can design. But now, today we are going to see about what? We are going to see security aspects, so that when you design a website, you will know what to do. So when it comes to security of a website, or when it comes to security of web development, the number one thing, an attack which can happen to any site is brute force. Brute forcing. So what you can brute force? You can brute force usernames and passwords. Yes, we have a login page. You have a username and password. The one common attack, or the most common attack which can happen, is a brute forcing attack. So now what we'll do is, we'll look into different ways of designing this site, and we'll look into the basic aspect of free hosting. So we're going to see how this website can be hosted free of cost. And after we have hosted this login page, I'll show you for a login page what kind of attack can happen. And we are going to look into a very important tool which is meant for website and web application. When it comes to website and web application, a security tool which is number one mandatory. This tool can be used for exploiting, or this tool can be used for testing. Testing in the sense you can use it for pen test. When you want to pen test a website or a web application, when you want to perform an attack on a website or a web application, the number one tool which is very mandatory for anyone is Burp Suite. So Burp Suite is a tool what we are going to see now. So the flow is going to go like this. We'll look into free hosting. and we'll learn about Burp Suite, and I'll tell you how Burp Suite can be used for brute forcing user credentials. Yes. So this is one mandatory and one important tool when it comes to pen testing and when it comes to exploitation. So we'll go for free hosting. As I said, free hosting, you have to go to GitHub, and in GitHub is a repository. So we are going to create a repository here. The word repository here means a folder or a directory. In servers, we call directories, folders, where in GitHub, we call it as repository. It is a place for you to create whatever you want. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a repository, create, and the repository name is going to be like this. I'll say login. Login. You can keep any name as per your wish. So it is going to be login and description. In case you want to keep a description, you can give this. And this repository is going to be public, which means it can be accessed by anyone. Can be accessed by anyone. And scroll down, you're going to create a repository. Once if you have created a repository, I hope in yesterday's server session, web designing, you are informed about one key file which you'll have to create first. What file is that? For a website, index. It's index.html. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to create a new file called index.html. So this page here is index.html. And I have to type a code here. You don't have to worry about coding, or in case if you're interested with coding, you can type your own code. I'm going to go for this. And here, let me type this. I'm saying HTML code for login page. As simple as it is. HTML code for login page, and ChatGPT is going to generate me a code for a login page. All I have to do is, that's done that. I'll go copy this code. I'll copy the code. I'll paste it here. I'll say commit changes. Commit is like saving. So I'm giving commit changes and again commit changes. So now I've given commit changes. I'll have to go to settings. First, I'll have to go to settings and then I'll have to go to actions. So first I'll go to settings. In settings, what I'll do is I'll go to pages, and in pages, I'll make my branch as main. I'll keep this configuration. So it is main, save. So my index.html file is the main branch now. So now that is done. Now I'll have to go for what? I'll have to go for actions. In actions, let me click on actions. And if you look at this, it says pages, build and deployment. I'll click this. Now, as you can see here, the page it's loading. First, it will build and it'll give the build status, and finally it will deploy. Once it is deployed, you will have a URL. You will have a URL of what? You will have a URL of your own GitHub page, which you can send to anyone. And if they click that link, what will happen? You will have the login page to be open. Attackers can use this kind of login pages for phishing-based attacks or to grab your user credentials. So this is my URL here. So when I click this URL, now see what happens. I get a login page. In case if you have designed a home page, you'll get a home page. You design whatever code you give in index.html, you're going to get it here. So this is my login page here. And you can send this URL to anyone. As I said, the URL here states that shankarasubramanian.github.io/login. And I'll send this in the chat box. In case if anyone clicks that, obviously every one of you will be able to see this login page. Fine. So this is something which is done out of LAN. You have a URL, and this URL can be used for hosting any kind of scripts. A script which gives a pop-up. When it comes to website, you'll have to understand this. You should have visited a lot of different websites where when you start downloading something, or when you click for downloading free softwares, when you visit a website, the first action what can happen in a website is this. You might get a pop-up. Have you seen this? It says your computer is infected with virus. Click here to download, or click here to resolve this. This is one. This is a pop-up which can happen for an infected website. Second is when you try to open a tab, you can see automatically another tab opens. Yes, this is a tab which you wanted to access, but automatically in the background, there will be one more tab which is open. So this is the second option which can happen. Third option is URL redirection, where you will be trying to access google.com, but instead of google.com, you may have xyz.com to be open. The URL will be redirected. This is the third option which can happen. Or when you try visiting a website, you can have a file which will be automatically downloaded to your system. So any kind of infectious website, it can happen like this. Now, from an attacker point of view, he is an attacker here, and from an attacker point of view, in case, if with the example what we have seen now, he should have got a page like GitHub. He should have created an index.html file, just like how we did. And in our example, we have created a login page with username, password, and login button. But in that, you can, in case if he has uploaded a script for pop-up, it's a very simple script. If you upload that, probably you'll get a pop-up. Or to open another tab, we have a script for that. Or for URL redirection, we have another script. Or to download a file automatically, we have different scripts. So it is all based on scripts. So an attacker, in case he wants to attack, probably he is going to come up with different scripts, and he can use the same chat GPT, or he can go to GitHub for downloading scripts like this, as simple as it is. Now, with the basic understanding of this, now I'll tell you what is the importance of Burp. We have a tool called Burp. And why do we need Burp? This is your website which you have built, which you have configured, which you are looking at your browser. Let us name it as xyz.com. Yes. And this website has a lot of different tabs here. It has got a home tab, about us tab, contact us tab. In web designing, you will be concentrating on how to design all these templates, what tools you can use, what front-end and back-end tools we are going to use. We'll be looking into all that. But when it comes to secure coding practices, in designing, there is something called secure coding practices. What do you mean by secure coding practices? When you write a code, you'll have to make sure that your code is safe and your code is not exploitable by any attacker. So now what we are going to see is this. We'll see what is happening in the background. Yeah, last slide. We'll see what is happening in the background. So when you access a website, I'll go access a website like this. I can see the front end. But when I type something here, I'll give my username and password. Yes, I'll give my username and password, and I click login. Can you see what is happening in the background? A request will be sent from your browser to where? To the server. As a developer, it is very important for you guys to see what is happening in the background. So when you give your username and password here, when you give username and password in front end and back end, you'll make sure that when you give the right username password, it goes to the database. The database will check the right username and password. And if the username and password is right, yes, it will create a session for you. You'll log into your account. This is perfectly fine. But from a security point of view, if you want to understand your coding, you should see the packet. When you click login, as computer communication is based on packets, which means from your browser, you will have multiple packets which goes to the server. Yes, you'll have multiple packet which goes to the server, and server, when it responds back to you, you will have packets coming back to you. Now, when I say this, your username and password can be in any one of the packets like this. Now, if an attacker is able to grab all these packets, using any tool like X, and if he's analyzing all these packets, if he's able to analyze all these packets, he'll be able to find your username and password. Yes, and also from a developer point of view, we need to see packets like this. Why? When you look at packets like this, you will understand which parameters are exposed, what parameters need to be encoded. Sometimes parameters like price parameter. Imagine this is Flipkart website. You have ordered a lot of different things. Finally, when you give buy, when you're clicking this icon called buy, you'll have a packet which goes, and when you analyze the packet, when you open the packet, from a security perspective, you should not be able to see, an attacker should not be able to see what? He should not be able to see the individual price parameter. This is product number 1. Okay, it is 150 rupees. Product number 2, this is 200 rupees. And product number 3, it is again 150 rupees. So total is 500 rupees. So the final price parameter is equal to 500 rupees. An attacker should not be able to see all these parameters. For a secure website, for a website which is secure, for a website which has secure coding practices implemented, This 500 will be like this, AE32BF. For insecure website, for a website which is not very secure, this will be in plain text. 500. This is this. This is this. What an attacker can do, attacker can change all these parameters. He can change 500 to 50. He can change 500 to 100, and he can forward the packet. And in case if the server is again weak, probably he will be buying a product worth 500 just for 50 or 100. This is called parameter tampering, a kind of attack. Parameter tampering. Parameter tampering in price value. In case if you are wondering, can we do something like this or attacks like this are possible? You won't believe Zomato was vulnerable for this attack. Zomato app, food delivery app, was vulnerable to this attack. And people from India, they were testing this site. And what they did is they ordered biryani. Biryani for, I think it was for 90 rupees. But what they did is they changed it to 9 rupees. Order cancelled. Now they have changed it to a different price. Say they bought it for 40 rupees or something. They reported this bug to Zomato, and Zomato, the bounty which was offered was like 1,500 USD. This comes under parameter tampering attack. So for as a developer, it is very important for you guys to know what is happening in the background. Yes, this is a wonderful website, what you have designed. Perfectly fine. But you should test your website using tools like this to see what is happening in the background and to check if any parameters are being exposed. So a tool like this is Burp Suite. So Burp Suite, what it is going to do is this. Burp Suite is going to stop. See, Burp Suite is a browser-based tool. It is not a computer-based tool. It is a browser-based tool. You will have to configure it for a browser. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to configure this for Firefox. Firefox and Burp Suite, you'll have to install in your Windows machine. The tool will be shared to you in the Google Drive link. You can download this tool. You can install this tool. I'll tell you how to configure this tool. So now what Burp Suite does is, if you try to access any website, if I try to access flipkart.com, now this packet, before what happens is, it will directly go to the internet, from internet to server to flipkart.com, and you'll get the reply back to your browser. But now, when you have Burp Suite installed and configured, any packet which goes out of Firefox, will be stopped by Burp. Burp will stop the packet only as a user. As a user, if you say forward this packet, the packet will be forwarded. If you say drop the packet will be dropped. So until that time, until you say forward or drop, the website here keeps on loading. Only if you forward the packet, this packet will go to the internet, from there to the server, and you will get a reply back. So Burp will give you that option. Until that time, you can see the packet, you can see the content of the packet, you can modify the content of the packet, you can do whatever you want. Yes. So to do this, first we'll have to download Burp, and then you'll have to configure proxy settings of Firefox, and then you have to install certificate of Burp in Firefox. Then you're good to go. So we have three main configurations which you'll have to do. First configuration is this, where you'll have to download Burp in Windows. Download Burp in Windows, and after that, you'll have to install, you'll have to configure proxy settings of Burp in Firefox. And then you'll have to do what? Install CA certificates of Burp in Firefox. And finally, you can test HTTP and HTTPS traffic. So designing a website is one part, but security is one key aspect which every designer developer has to know. And that is the reason you will have to learn this important tool called Burp Suite. So I've already downloaded Burp. Installation is a very simple process. Click on next. Tool will be installed. Once the tool is installed, let me close this and let me open this tool called Burp Suite. So this is a community edition, and in case if you want to go for professional edition, it has got much more options. But as a beginner, community edition will be more than enough. It has got so many options which you can perform. So the tool opens like this, and once the tool opens, Okay. Okay, we have Burp Suite Community Edition to be opened here. And when you look at this, you can click on next. You can go for this option called next and start Burp. Start Burp. Now what happens is this is Burp Suite. This is Burp Suite where it has got different tabs here. We have got different tabs here. We'll work with a very basic tab of Proxy. This is the Proxy tab, which is the main tab. Proxy tab is the main tab. And you have this option called Intercept is off, Intercept is on. When Intercept is on, it will intercept the traffic of Firefox. When Intercept is off, it will not intercept any traffic. So we'll keep like this. So we have downloaded Burp in Windows. Now what we'll have to do is we'll have to configure proxy settings of Burp. Why proxy settings? Proxy setting is because normally when you access any website in Firefox, this is your computer's Firefox browser. When you access any website here, it directly goes to the server. Yes, it directly goes to the server. But now we are going to inform Firefox that Firefox, in case if any user is trying to access any website, you will have to forward the traffic to this software called Burp. Yes, don't forward it directly to the server. Forward it to Burp. Let Burp decide to whether to forward the packet or to drop the packet. So what we are trying to do here is we are going to configure the proxy settings of Firefox. To configure proxy settings of Firefox, Burp runs on localhost 0.1 and on this particular port number 8080. So this IP address and this port number we'll have to configure in the proxy settings of your Firefox. So we'll go to settings of Firefox. Firefox is here. I'll go to settings, and I'll go to proxy. I'll go to proxy settings. When you go to proxy settings, see here, yours will be in use system proxy settings. Now we'll have to change the setting to what? Manual proxy configuration. You'll have to choose this. You'll have to give this IP address localhost, and you'll have to give the port number and click this icon. Also use this proxy for HTTPS. Simple. After that, click on OK. OK. Now what happens is your Firefox is configured to forward all the traffic to this particular software called Burp. Whatever you access here, the packet will be forwarded to where? It will be forwarded to Burp. So we have completed the second step. Now we'll have to go for the third step. Install CA certificate of Burp in Firefox. Now what we have to do is this. Just installing the proxy setting and configuring the proxy setting is not enough. Now what I have to do is, as you all know, we have two different types of websites. One is HTTP website. The other one is HTTPS. HTTP and HTTPS. HTTP, plain text. HTTPS, obviously it is going to need some encryption, increased security, things like that. And this is Burp. Now, when you try to access a HTTP website, a website which is HTTP website, when you're trying to access this, the packet will be forwarded to Burp, and HTTP websites won't question Firefox anything. Why? Because the site has very less security. So it won't ask anything. It will forward the traffic to Burp, and we can decide what to do. But when you try to access HTTPS website, say I'm going to access google.com. If you try to access google.com now, before installing CA certificate, it will say the proxy server refused to accept connections. You will get an error. Why? Because there is a HTTPS website. And when you are trying to access a HTTPS website, this HTTPS website is going to question Firefox. It will ask Firefox, you are forwarding our traffic to a third-party software. This is a third-party software. You are forwarding our traffic to a third-party software. Do you trust this software? Do you trust this software? Firefox will say, no, I don't trust this software. They have just installed and they have configured the proxy settings for me, so I'm forwarding the packet. So this says, no, I can't allow my traffic to be forwarded to a third-party software. Now, we'll have to build that trust. Firefox needs to trust Burp Suite. How to do that? In internet, or when it comes to server, anything which is trust based is based on certificates. You visit a HTTPS website. Say, let us go here. If you visit a HTTPS website, look at this. It says connection is secure and it says certificate is valid. Certificate is valid. And if you look at this, you have got the certificate information, which means this site here has a valid certificate and it is HTTPS. So a computer used to check whether that is a genuine website or not. So everything is based on certificate. Now what we have to do in order to build this trust, we'll have to install the CA certificate of Burp in Firefox. When you install this, now Firefox will trust Burp. And when you try to access HTTPS website, and when this HTTPS website is questioning Firefox, do you trust Burp? It will say, yes, I have got the CA certificate of Burp. I trust this software. Yes, so you will be able to forward HTTPS traffic to Burp Suite. So now we'll go here to install that. For the first time when you're using Burp, probably you might feel not that comfortable, but when you start using Burp, you should be knowing about all these configurations. So this is Burp here. This is this. So now what I'm going to do now, see the intercept is off. Intercept is off. And I have my proxy settings of Firefox to be configured for Burp. Now what I'm going to do here is I'll type Burp, B-U-R-P, /. I'm typing Burp / enter. Now it gives me this Burp Suite Community Edition CA certificate. Yes. So all I have to do is download this. Click this. You'll have the CA certificate to be downloaded. Now what I'll have to do, I'll go to settings. Instead of proxy, I'll give certificates. View certificates. Now I'll have to import the certificate. I'll say import and I have the CA certificate in downloads. I'll click open. For me, it says the certificate is already installed. But for you, you'll get a pop-up. You'll get a pop-up something like this where it says Burp CA certificate installation Firefox. You might get a pop-up which is something like this where it's going to say okay. You'll get a pop-up. All you have to do is check the box in that pop-up. Settings is done. CA certificate is imported. You'll get a pop-up like this. So all you have to do is check the first one. Trust CA to identify websites and click OK. If you've done that, we are done with all the 3 steps here. Now we'll have to test what? We'll have to test HTTP and HTTPS traffic. How to test this? Let us go back here. Click on OK. OK. Now you can try accessing any website and that website traffic packet should be captured here. So intercept to be on. Intercept to be on. I'm trying to access google.com. We'll try to access some other website. We'll try to access indiamic.com. See, the first objective of using Burp is this. You will have to identify the right packet. Identifying the right packet, indiamic.com. You can close the inspector box here. Now, if you can see this, it says request to google.com. Are you accessing google.com? No, you are accessing indiamic.com. See, the page here is loading. It's still loading. Why? Because Burp has stopped the packet. So it will say loading. Now, this is not the right packet. This is this is google.com. Let me share my attendance sheet 1 second. Online students, please fill in this attendance sheet. So this is google.com's packet. What you can do is you can forward the packet. This is forward. Let me forward the packet. Again, this is some packet which belongs to Mozilla. Fine. So I'll forward the packet. Now, if you look at this, this says client Firefox. Okay. I'll forward the packet. If you look at this, Q is equal to IN. means I have typed indiamike.com. I have to type INDA Mike. So when you forward the packet, now I have IND, again INDA, forward the packet, INDIA, forward MIK. Still it says google.com, and here it says IndiaMike. I have to get indiamike.com here. That is the right packet here, and still the page is loading here. I'll forward the packet, forward. Now again, this is a packet which belongs to what? To Mozilla. This is not indiamikes.com packet. Let me forward it again. Now can you see this? It says HTTPS www.indiamike.com, port number 443 and the IP address of indiamike.com. Yes. So this is a right packet which is loading here, and we have got the packet here, and this is something which is happening in the background. Something which is happening in the background of the packet, what you have designed, what you have uploaded, and this is the script which is going to the server. This is the request which is going to the server. And let me forward this packet. When I forward this packet, see here the page loads here. Again, I will forward the packet. Forward. See the page loads here. Yes, indiamikes.com page loads here, and this is again the request for the remaining page to load. So the page has finally loaded. You have to understand this flow where you're trying to access a website and you're going to capture the request correctly in Burp Suite. Now I'll access the website again. So the website has loaded. Now Intercept is on. I'll refresh this. Now look at this. This is exactly the packet which I wanted, indiamike.com, and anything which is in red, that comes under user input, which you can edit. If you enter your username and password, that will be in red, which means the user has given the input and you can edit that. I can delete whatever I want. I can delete the entire content like this and forward the packet and see what happens. I can do this. I can do any kind of things with this request parameter here. In case if I drop the packet, if I drop, see the page still here is loading. It's loading. If I drop the packet here, it says the request was dropped by the user. So as a designer, as a developer, you have to understand this flow. You have designed this page. Yes, perfectly fine. You have designed indiamike.com. That is perfectly fine. But from a security aspect, you should know what is happening in the background. You should know what coding is, what kind of request is going in the background, and are there any parameters which is exposed, and is our site, is your page, what you have login page, what you have designed, is it vulnerable for brute forcing or not? So now let us go for a normal website like this. Let me go for this website which is called as testphp.vulnerableWeb.com. See, Intercept is off, so it is not intercepting anything. So you can browse to the exact page which you wanted, and then you can, when you enter and when you click on login, before you click login, you can go turn on Intercept. Now I'll go for sign up. See, this is a test page. This is a test page. So sign up, and here it says the username and password is test. Username is test, password is test. Yes. So now what I'm going to do here, I'll type test. I'll type test here, and I'll type test here. Now, before I click login, I'll go for Intercept and I'll click login. Now, can you see this? This is your username and this is your password. Your username and password. Now, what I can do is I'll change the password to prompt infotech. You can do this. You can change the request. Here, what you have entered is test, perfectly fine. This packet has moved out of your browser. Now, you have this packet to be in Burp. Now, when I forward this packet, and I forward this packet, it says it is not able to log in. It is not able to log in. Why? Because we have given the wrong username password. In case if you have given the right username password, test, let me log in. This time I'm not going to intercept. I'll forward. See here, you go to the login page. Previously, we have given what? We have given the wrong password, so it was not able to log in. Now it has logged in to this account. Now, what we'll do is we'll perform brute forcing for this website. So what I'm going to do here, let me give sign up. Intercept is off. If you want to do something here, you'll have to do what? You'll have to turn off your intercept. Now I'll go here and I'll type Shankar. Okay, now I'll type the username, will give test. Username is test. We'll create two scenarios which goes like this. The first scenario is where we'll give the right username. First scenario where username is right, password is wrong. We'll intercept and we'll give something in Burp to brute force. Second option, where username is wrong and password is also wrong. Again, we'll use Burp to test both the fields. So this is first scenario and this is going to be our second scenario here. Now what I'm going to do here, let me go for this and test, and I'll give user as Shankar, password as Shankar. Now, before logging in, what I'll have to do, I'll have to go intercept is on, login. Now we have what? The password is Shankar, the username is test. Now there is a tab which is called as intruder. Intruder is a tab which you can use for giving payloads. Payload is what? Say, I'll create a Word document here. I'll say it as payload.txt. Payload.txt. Here, I can give the list of possible passwords. Whatever passwords are possible. Say, I'll give Shankar, I'll give prompt, I'll give infotech, I'll give random words like this, and I can give the right password also. And I'm coming up with different keywords like this. I'll say this. You can come up with a list of 100 passwords, possible passwords like this. You can do whatever you want. You have saved this file. Now, what you are trying to do here is, let me go here. Firefox, Burp. Still the page is loading. Only if I click on forward or drop, the action will be complete. Till then, the page says it is loading, loading, loading. Now, what I'll do is I'll go for right click on the packet, right click anywhere and say send to intruder. I can do this, or I'll go to action and I'll say send to intruder. Both are same. Let me expand this. So now I'll right click, I'll say send to intruder. We have the intruder tab here. Now intruder, now look at this. The attack type is sniper. The attack type is sniper. Yes, it is sniper. Why? Because we have two fields. One is username field. The other one is password field. Now, which field we'll have to test? Password field. So there is only one target. Sniper is a type of attack which targets long distance target, but only one target. So when you want to attack only one field, you can go for this attack type called sniper. When you want to attack both username and password, that you can go for attack type called cluster bomb. I'll show you in the next example. Cluster bomb is where the one which you can see in like Iron Man movie, one bomb goes and gets split into multiple bombs. So there will be multiple targets which will be dead. So here it is going to be a single target and sniper. Now here it is this. Now which field you will have to test? You will have to test Shankar. So I'll select this field. I'm going to select this field and I'm going to add this. When you click on add, see the color has changed. So whatever you are going to inject, the word list, it is all going to be tested against which field? It is all going to be tested against this field called Shankar. Because I have to test only this field. Now I'll go to payloads. You have only one payload and the payload is simple list. You have many different payloads here, but we'll go for a simple list. Now what you can do is you can add the items manually here. I can type all the list of possible passwords manually like this. I can enter, I can go like this. Or I can do what? I can load the file which we have created. We have payload.txt. I have this file. So I load this file, click on open. So I have the list of passwords what I have entered in the payload. Now I'll say start attack. Click on OK. Now see what happens. Everything, each and every password what I gave is getting tested. It's getting tested. And when it comes to HTTP status codes, hopefully you should be knowing about this. HTTP status code, we have different series of status codes here. Say you have 200 series, you have 300 series, 400 series, and 500 series. 200 series, which means HTTP status code 200, which means success. This happens between the client computer and the server. If you are given anything and if the username password is right, yes, the HTTP status code will be 200. This is redirection. Redirection happens when you're accessing something and it is moving to something else. HTTP status code 302, 301. And this obviously everyone should have known this. Error 404. What is this? Is it a client-side error or a server-side error? This is a client-side error. This is a client-side error where the server is not able to understand what you have done. So it is showing us this error. Error 404, page cannot be displayed. And this is 500 series. This is server-side error. When you get an error called 500, which means there is a problem with the server and the server is to be blamed. So these are different HTTP status codes, which you will have to know. Now, here, to find out the right username and password, please understand this logic. This is going to be a little complicated for the first time, but I'll make it simple for you guys. I'll take a screenshot of this. I'll go to Paint. Okay. Now, when you look at this is a packet without any payload. These are the different payloads what you gave. That is okay. But this is a packet which Burp has sent without any payload. And observe the length here. Now, we have two important factors to analyze. One is the status code and one is the length. For a successful username and password, what is the status code? 200 series. That is the status code. We have 200 to be here. This is 200 here. We can immediately assume that this is the right username password, but for some instances, you will get more than one 200. This will be another 200. You will have one more 200 here. Now, when you have more than one 200, which is the right password? Is this or this or this? You will get confused. And for that reason, you will go for the length option here. Yes. So we'll have to consider the length here. For the right username password combination, the length will be either very high. This is going to be either very high or this is going to be very low. Either this will be very high, the value will be very high, or the value will be very low. We'll take this example. This is status code 200. What is the length here? The length is exactly that of 258. So this is not the right username password combination. Now, when you take this is also 200. But what is the length here? It's exactly 258. So we cannot take this combination. But when you look at this, it says 200. But what is the length? The length is very high when compared to 258. So we can assume this is the right username and password. You can do this brute forcing for your website and check if your website accepts these kind of attack, or if you get a response like this for your website, what you have designed is vulnerable for brute forcing. Now, I'll tell you how we can see the output here. Let me click on this packet. When you look at the below options here, can you see this? The username is test and the password is test. Now, when you go for this packet, the username is test and the password is what? It is ASDF, what we have mentioned here. So I'll click on this. So this is the request what we have sent. This is the request what we have sent. And look at the response from the server. What is this? 200 OK. It says 200 OK. Now to see the output, we have two different options. First option is you can click on render. This will show you the browser preview. Exactly how you can see in browser. It says logout test, which means this is the right username password. You can see this for any payload what you have sent. Say it says you must log in. But for test, it says, yes, you have logged in. Now again, you want to see this in the browser. I'll right click this. I'll go for show response in browser. I'll copy the response. I'll go to Burp. I'll make intercept to be off. I'll go to this browser here. Now, you have copied the response of the browser. Now I'll right click, paste and go. Now you'll see the exact response what you have got from the server. This is option number 1, where you can brute force the password field. You are brute forcing the password field. Now I'll also show you how you can brute force both username and password field. Okay, let me go to Burp here. Let me stop this. Yes, discard. This is my Burp Suite here. Now I'll give the username to be wrong. This is the second scenario where we are testing this. I'll give the username to be Shankar, which is wrong. The password to be prompt. Again, that is also wrong. Before I click login, intercept is on. Login, username is Shankar, password is prompt, both are wrong. Now what I'll do, I'll go for right click, send to intruder. When you go for intruder, now this time it is not going to be sniper. This time it is going to be cluster bomb. Why? Because we have both username field and password field. I'll go for cluster bomb. I'll select username field, add this. I'll also select password field. I'll add this. Now when you go for payloads, this time you have two payloads, one for username, one for password. So what I'll do is I'll go for username. I can add randomly like this. I'll add test. For us to see the output immediately, I'll give this and I'll choose payload number 2. I'll load the file. You can do it for both the username and password field, but to make it very simple, I'm doing this and I'll click on start attack. Now see what happens. Work. Now it is with the total combination of 52 combinations of username and password. It is trying with whatever different usernames and passwords what we gave. And the right username and password combination, as I told you, it is going to show you what? It is going to show you this. The status code will be 200 and 200. And the response code, it has to be either very less or very low. Yes, as simple as it is. Let us check here. Okay, if you look at this, test and test, it says 200. Status code is 200. And it should be either very less or very high. Here it is very less. The actual status code is 251. Okay, it is slightly higher. We have 256. It is not exactly the same, but we have a value which is higher than the original value. So obviously this is going to be the right username, password. Right click this, show response in browser. Copy this again and you paste it. Probably you're going to get that. Yes. To stop this, what you'll have to implement in your website is this. Status code, rate limiting. 429. Now you can try the same for Gmail or Twitter or Instagram. What you can do is you can try and you can check in Instagram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can give any number of passwords. Give the right username, but choose 100 different passwords, possible passwords. But Instagram, for secure websites, what will happen? For the first 2 or 3 requests, you will get 300, something like this. But after that, you will get a status code of 429. When you get a status code of 429, which means the site is secure. It is not allowing brute forcing. It is called rate limiting. Rate limiting is a security configuration which you will do it in your server. Rate limiting. Rate limiting is one important consideration which you will have to consider while designing any website. It will prevent DOS attack. It will prevent DDoS attack. It will prevent brute forcing attacks. So when it comes to website, again, I'm repeating, designing a website which looks good, user interface, perfectly fine. But you should also consider these basic attacks which can happen on your website. So what do you mean by rate limiting? It says how much amount of time you can interact with the website within a given minute. I will say within 1 minute, if I get 20 requests from a particular IP address, block the remaining request. This is rate limiting configuration. When you keep on accessing a website repeatedly, this can be 1 minute, this can be 30 seconds, this can be anything. Within a short span of time, if any user is trying to overuse the website, then stop him from accessing the website. This is called rate limiting. So now what we did in brute forcing, we sent immediate passwords again and again within a short span of time. Burp Suite, what it does is it is going to send simultaneous requests within a short span of time. So for any secure website, it is going to block our IP address. So rate limiting is a configuration which you will have to do on your web server. You have designed your web page, you have hosted your web page in the server, but as a security configuration, you'll have to configure rate limiting. It is based on different servers. And to find out whether the website you have built is whether it has rate limiting or not, or whether it is vulnerable for these kind of attacks or not, you can use a tool like Burp Suite. It is very mandatory for you guys to understand this tool called Burp Suite to understand what is happening in the background. You should know what is happening in the background, the different types of requests what is being sent. If any important, this is the cookie value which is exposed. This is a username and password which is in plain text. So you have to come up with different considerations like this. And if any of these request is exposing any sensitive information, then probably you should have to control that in your coding. And for your assignment today, you will have to go with the username, password, brute force of, you can take this website of test PHP website, perform this attack. You will have to show this is test PHP website. You have given a wrong username and password, and you will have to show this, which shows the right username and password. Test and test. Highlight this, take a screenshot of Burp Suite and the attack which is happening, and you will have to upload it in Google Forms. Fine. This is for the username and password field. Both are wrong, and you will have to test it. And the right username password combination has to be here in Burp Suite. You got this? So this is a screenshot which you'll have to send. So again, yes, from tomorrow you will be continuing with the designing, web designing. What important considerations are there? What tools you have? What front end, what back end technologies you are going to use. Yes, you will learn about all these things, but remember this, you will design a beautiful website, that is okay, but you want to crack interviews, and company which is going to hire you is not going to hire a person who has good knowledge in designing with tools like this. Added to this, if you have secure coding practices, or if you have knowledge of different types of attacks which can happen on a website, and you know the mitigation techniques, you know the countermeasures of how to stop these attacks, this is going to be an added advantage to crack any interview. Yes. So always have these security aspects in mind, and complete the assignment. And from tomorrow, you can start with the tools for designing website. Fine. We'll meet tomorrow then. Thank you.